The Psychology of Making Money, Part 2, The Wealth Ceiling. Imagine two people. Both have the same education, the same opportunities, the same city, the same economy. But 10 years later, their financial lives look completely different. One is still struggling to get ahead. The other is building serious wealth. Most people assume the difference is skill, or intelligence, or luck. But in many cases, the difference is something far less obvious. It's identity, the invisible financial thermostat. Every person has an internal financial thermostat, a level of income that feels normal, comfortable, expected, and your brain will unconsciously regulate your life around that number. If you believe you are a $40,000 a year person, you'll tend to make decisions that keep you around that level. If you suddenly make more money, you might increase spending, or lose motivation, or sabotage opportunities. Not intentionally, but subconsciously, because the new level feels unfamiliar, and human beings instinctively return to what feels familiar. This is what psychologists call self-concept regulation. Your identity quietly pulls your life toward what you believe you deserve. The lottery paradox. There's a strange phenomenon researchers noticed when studying lottery winners. Many people who suddenly receive millions of dollars end up broke again within a few years. Not because they never had money, but because their identity never changed. Their spending habits stayed the same. Their decision-making stayed the same. Their mindset stayed the same. So the money disappeared. This is why sudden wealth often disappears, and why slow wealth tends to last. Because long-term wealth requires a new identity, not just a new bank balance. The comfort zone of income. Think about your current income. Now imagine doubling it. How does that idea feel? Exciting or slightly uncomfortable? For many people, the discomfort is real because their brain has created an internal narrative about what level of income is normal. If you grew up in a household where $60,000 was considered a good salary, earning $200,000 might feel unrealistic, even if you're capable of it, even if the opportunity exists. Your brain filters opportunities based on identity. You unconsciously ignore possibilities that conflict with your self-image. This is the wealth ceiling, an invisible limit created by belief. The invisible sabotage. Sometimes the wealth ceiling doesn't show up as avoidance. It shows up as sabotage. Someone gets close to a breakthrough opportunity and suddenly makes poor decisions. They procrastinate. They miss deadlines. They overthink simple choices. They lose focus. From the outside, it looks like bad luck, but psychologically, it's often self-protection, because success creates pressure. Higher income means higher expectations. Higher expectations mean higher risk of failure. So the brain sometimes prefers the safety of familiar struggle, even when success is possible. Identity creates behavior. To understand how powerful identity is, consider something simple. If someone identifies as a runner, they run regularly. If someone identifies as a reader, they read often. The behavior flows naturally from identity. The same applies to money. If someone identifies as a person who is bad with money, their behavior will reinforce that identity. They may avoid budgeting, delay investing, or feel overwhelmed by financial planning. But when someone begins identifying as a person who builds wealth, their behavior changes. They start learning about money. They track expenses. They invest. They negotiate income. The identity changes first, then the behavior, then the results. The first time your identity breaks. For many people, the wealth ceiling becomes visible during the first major financial leap. Someone goes from making $40,000 to suddenly making $120,000. And something strange happens. Instead of feeling secure, they feel pressure, anxiety, imposter syndrome. They wonder if they deserve it. They wonder if it will disappear. And sometimes they unconsciously bring their life back down to familiar territory through spending, poor investments, or simply losing the drive that created the opportunity, because psychologically, their identity still lives in the old income bracket. Why some people break the ceiling. Yet some people break through their wealth ceiling completely. They expand their financial identity, and once that happens, their life begins operating at a higher level permanently. What changed? Usually three things. First, exposure. When people spend time around others earning more money, their perception of what's possible changes. What once seemed extraordinary becomes normal, and the brain begins accepting higher levels of income as realistic. Second, skills. When someone gains valuable skills, confidence increases. Confidence expands identity, and identity identity expands opportunity. Third, evidence. Once someone experiences even a small financial breakthrough, it becomes proof that higher levels are possible. That proof begins rewriting the story in their mind. Expanding the wealth ceiling. The key to breaking the wealth ceiling is not forcing yourself to make more money. It's expanding the story you tell yourself about who you are. Instead of saying, "I'm someone who struggles financially," you begin saying, "I'm someone who is learning to build wealth." Instead of, "I'm bad with money," you shift to, "I'm improving my financial skills." Small identity shifts create new behaviors. New behaviors create new results. And those results reinforce the new identity. This is how financial momentum begins. The power of self-image. Your self-image influences far more than income. It influences the jobs you apply for, the clients you pursue, the risks you take, the opportunities you notice. Two people can see the same opportunity. One sees possibility, the other sees risk. Why? Because their identities filter reality differently. The wealth ceiling is not a lack of opportunity. It is a lack of identity expansion. The identity exercise. Here is a simple exercise that reveals your financial identity. Complete this sentence honestly. I am the type of person who. Finish the sentence with your current financial behavior. I am the type of person who spends too much. Or, I am the type of person who struggles to save. Or, I am the type of person who avoids thinking about money. Now write a second sentence. I am becoming the type of person who. This sentence represents your new identity. I am becoming the type of person who builds assets. I am becoming the type of person who invests consistently. I am becoming the type of person who understands money. Notice the difference. The second sentence allows growth. Identity becomes flexible. And once identity changes, behavior follows naturally. The real wealth ceiling. The most important thing to understand is this. Your wealth ceiling is not created by the economy, or your education, or your background. It's created by what you believe is possible for someone like you. Once that belief expands, your financial life begins expanding with it. But before wealth can grow, identity must grow first, because money rarely exceeds the story you tell yourself about who you are. This channel isn't about fast wins, it's about steady progress. If that's the kind of mindset you are building, subscribe and stick around. Please like the video if it gave you more perspective. It helps this community to grow quietly, just like growth should. See you in the next one.